Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. I have an awful rack, a U and two Ws, really grim. However, I do have Jow, and I think that's going to be better than changing. It's 37 points, which is a big score, and it is making a dent into UWW. Rackley, pretty unpromising, but 37 points definitely better than changing. Now, an alternative play would be Jowly in column 12. Wow, that's 36 points, and it's getting rid of the L as well. I think I'd like to do that. I don't think the L helps RUW. So Jowly for 36. Still very unbingo-y, but I do have a couple of vowels to play with, so I should almost certainly be better off playing through this. I have foe in row I, making goo and ox. My A can also go next to the J, so I have wax. So I think I'll have a 30-point play somewhere on the board. So where else is there for my X? There's very little on this rack worth keeping. Probably the best rack leave would be AR, but there's no way to get rid of everything else. Key takes a D and an S after it. Now, I could play WACF, retaining the X. Let me see what that scores. 38 points, but I'm opening up row A and column 15 and keeping a horrible rack leave. The alternative to that would be foe down here for 43 points. I think this is a better play. The Q, availability of the Q and QI in column 14, not massively dangerous because any such play is going to open up column 15. So foe for 43. Great. I see my first ease of the game. And there could be a bingo here. Possibly not. I've got weed as a suffix, but can't see anything with ERR. I've also got ED as an ending. So there could be an 8 through the right floater. Not too many floaters on this board. There's the F. Not seeing anything with that. And what about the K? Well, that doesn't look good. I've no longer got any plays around the Q. My W can go after JA. So I could play Weir in column 14, leaving red, quite a good rack leave. And 28 points. Only an E can go next to the R. So my opponent not guaranteed to have a play in column 15, and I of course would be, because I would be retaining an E. Now my W can go in front of OX, but nothing goes in front of goo, so that's not a useful spot for me. Now, a few more floaters to consider. So what about welderer? I think I'm going to check that. I don't feel confident about it, but it might be good. It's not. So I wonder what somebody who welders is called. I don't think it's welder-or. Re-welder I'm sure isn't good. Now few is good. Does that assist? I don't think so. Now this feels slightly risky. But the rack leave is really good, and my opponent's opened the board up, which increases the value of a bingo-y rack leave. So we're for 28. I have Dottier. Nowhere for that. Ah, Dottier and add. And Dottier fed and a do. So I do have somewhere. And, well, it's a shame my opponent scored 57 points, but he has left alone my bingo spot. Any other bingos I should be considering? I don't think so. They would score less. So Dottier for 77. Not good. 3 N's. And I draw the remaining F, so that's a poor pickup. However, I lead by 30. So I'm in reasonable shape. And I don't have an E for going after the R. If my opponent does, then Weir will have pretty spectacularly backfired in terms of points for me and points for my opponent. However, it has at least served as a distraction whilst I've got my bingo down. My F can go underneath the I, but again the R is hampering a play in row L because of the absence of an E. My M can go above it, but I am looking to get rid of 2 N's. How can I do that? I haven't seen any candidate plays which achieve that end. Wow, I have Finan in column 10, which burns all 3 N's. That stays available. It doesn't score hugely, but it totally sorts the rack out. I lead by 9 points. Fox is good. Crab takes an S at the end only. Do I have anything through the B? Not seeing anything. What about through the A? A play beginning FA perhaps? I have Nana, burning all 3 N's again, so there are more opportunities to burn 3 N's than there are 2. I could play Manta in that spot, but that's providing 2 good opportunities. This provides just the 1. And those 2 good opportunities are not available, 1 for me and 1 for my opponent, because they are so close, and the opportunities are a play in column 14 with a big score on this triple letter square, and a column 15 play through the triple word squares. So this is 19, which is not a bad score for the rack. The rack leaves good. Clearly row O dangerous, but if opponent can't score well off it, he may just have to settle for a mediocre score, in which case the strategy will have worked. Still just the 1 vowel. That may mean I'm plagued with vowels at the end, but it's a good vowel in that it's an E, so column 15 suddenly becomes available. I think Nemt may be good, which would sort the rack out. It is. So hopefully my opponent distracted by the N in row O. Nemt is a nice play. The rack leave's not great with BP, but this is a pretty atrocious starting rack. OX takes a number of tiles in front of it, including B and P, but the layout of the board means it's hard to play anything in that spot. Nothing goes in front of the K, so really it's just available for a 2-letter word, which isn't going to score massively. Through a Y, I would have by Nemt, which would be better in terms of sorting the rack out, splitting up B and P. B and P not particularly synergetic. Both Ys have been played in Key and Gookie, so I would need a blank to be a Y for that play to happen. Unlikely. The floaters include are consonants, so that's really not very helpful with a consonant-heavy rack. Great, that's what I hoped would happen. Opponent getting a score in the low 20s, taking out row O, leaving alone column 15. So Nempt for 31. Great. I draw a blank. I have even fewer vowels this turn. So we're looking towards an absolute vowel deluge in the latter part of the game. So what can I do with this rack? There are just so few floating vowels on the board. Maybe my opponent is suffering a lot of vowels at the moment and we'll put one or two of them out in the open. That would be really helpful. Through the right floaters I would have blip verts. No floaters like that. Wow, just the one vowel by my opponent, and he's played an S, which suggests he's probably got the other one, or the blank. What to do here? Maybe I should change. I am still ahead. There are some good bingo lanes now in columns 3, 5 and row N. I think the thing to do is to have a look at what I can score if I don't change. 14 minutes on my clock. And it's not very much. There's almost nothing on offer at all, so I'm going to change. And I'll keep RS blank. Well, slightly better, but not massively so. Bingo's through a floating vowel. Shoveler, I think. But I do have one vowel, so I suspect changing is not going to be optimal. Dunner, I think, takes an S, so I have vols and dunners. Wow, nice bingo by my opponent, and he provides nothing. So he now goes into a 60-point lead. What to do? I could play Vrow, keeping HLS. Not great because it's not creating a new bingo lane, and the only existing bingo lanes now are really columns 3 and 5. So I could do with opening a new lane. How can I do that? And playing off the V. So there's no S's left, just one blank. So I could play Holm, which scores in the high 20s. It opens a bingo lane in column 5 for bingos, well, ending E and S. Quite a few E's to come. But it's also providing a few floaters this side of the M. So it's not going to be possible for my opponent to block all the floaters. And the rack leave's not too bad, except for the fact that I'm retaining the V with another still to come. So this doesn't feel great. Let me look at the remaining vowel situation. 17 vowels out of 27. There are only 10 consonants in the bag, and including the blank. So a lot of vowels out there, so this isn't too bad a rack leave. I think I need to keep scoring, given that I'm 60 points behind. If I traded or played off or got a lower score, I could easily find myself 100 points behind and a bingo not being enough. But is there something better? 12 minutes on my clock. I could just play Vox for 17 points, 10 fewer points, keeping quite a nice rack leave. It may be difficult for my opponent to completely block the bingo lanes in columns 3 and 5, so Holm not great, because if opponent just plays a short word ending in E, then the floating H, O and L are not massively useful. I can't play in row O. And another advantage of playing Vox is that it slows down the end of the game, which I want to do since I'm behind. I'm going with Vox. I draw a vowel. But do I have a bingo here? There are no 7-letter lanes for bingos ending in S, which devalues my S slightly. I'm going to struggle to open up other bingo lanes on this board. The bottom right is dead. Now, does pi take an S in front? It does. So, opponent has actually created a new bingo lane, but do I have a bingo? I haven't seen one yet. Let me run through the alphabet. Let me just take this back. I've also got the P as a floater, and possibly the C for a play ending ENCE, or something similar, using tiles I've got. So is there anything with this rack and the P? Not seeing anything, so I'm now looking for 7s. 10 minutes on my clock. Not seen anything so far. Schuler, not good. It's likely to be quite low probability, but I will have seen it. Still not seeing anything. So what about the T? That looks like it goes well with this rack. Not seeing anything. No, so what to do? I am only 50 points behind. There are 16 tiles to come. It would be nice to create a new bingo lane. I just can't see how to do that. Well, I could play home, which I think has some merit. It scores 30 points, so it takes me to within 20 of my opponent. It is creating bingo lanes, and the rack leave is good, especially with only one O in the bag, and all the other vowels are good ones, A's, E's and I's, which will benefit this rack. I'm going with this. Okay, so this looks a lot more promising. Wow, I've managed to dodge all these E's and I's. Opponent could have a very unbalanced rack, or he could be about to come down with another bingo. Pi was an interesting move. Maybe my opponent wasn't aware of the front hook. Or maybe he's got the blank. Anyway, let me have a look for 7-letter bingos. None has come to mind. I can see Staghorn with as an 8 through the right floater. T or N required. Now, Guerreros, that plays in column 6, making Po and Is. Great, remains available. I'm going to keep looking because Guerreros places the G in row A, so my opponent will have a good comeback score. I've got 8 minutes on my clock, 10 tiles in the bag. Looks like my opponent was played with I's. Hopefully he still is. What I'm looking for really is a play which places the S above pi. So let me run through the alphabet, or keep running through the alphabet. This looks like a bingo-y 6-letter set. but I haven't seen anything apart from Guerreros. I think it's Sorg Hum rather than Sorg Ham. And anyway, a play beginning with S doesn't work. I guess the play through the P would also be worthwhile. Well, that's Staghorn onto an N. 7 minutes on the clock. So I've only got Guerreros. That only plays in column 6. Do I have anything through the O? So I would have a play ending hood. Using HO blank, that doesn't work for me. What about a play ending L? Well, that would also open up row A. So I think I am going to have to play Guerreros for 78, and although I am opening up row A, there's also quite a hot spot in row O. So let's see how many E's and I's I can draw. Guerreros for 78. Well, could have been worse. Not entirely unexpected, but the remaining tiles now pretty bingo-y. I have Vigia in row A, if that remains available. And I don't think I have anything fantastic in row O, so this isn't looking great. I've got a good lead, but I think I lose to a bingo. But if opponent's got these vowels, he may not have a bingo. 3 tiles in the bag. Now, do I have a bingo? I don't think so, but I should look for one. There are floating consonants in Guerreros, G, H and R. Can't see anything with the G. Wow, opponent plays off 2. Look at that, he's almost certainly got a bingo, and that changes my strategy. Because if I play Vigia, I'm leaving available a floating E and R. And surely my opponent will be able to bingo through that. Through one of those. But does Vigia score enough to outrun my opponent? 39 points, so I would be on 398. I'd be 82 in front. And I'd lose 14 on countback. 68, opponent would win. So I was thinking about playing in they, but the H is just one square. It runs one square to the left. Yeah. I don't really want to play Vigia hoping my opponent doesn't bingo. I'd much rather do a play which stops him. But look at this, there's the floating O and L, so I don't think I can take those out. So I'm really looking for a parallel play in columns 5 or 7. I don't have to play off the V at all. I just need to stop my opponent from bingoing. How can I do that? With difficulty. 4 minutes on my clock. Can I score more than Vigia? Don't think so. Wow. Almost regardless of what tile is in the bag, I think my opponent has a bingo. I just can't see anything better than this. That is obstructing column 3 onto the L. The O is an unlikely and unuseful floater. So it's really the E and the R which duplicate tiles on my opponent's rack. So I'm just going to hope that my opponent doesn't have a bingo, bearing in mind that he almost certainly does. Vigia for 39. So what's my opponent got? Well, he surely does have a bingo here. Does he have rare bits? No, he doesn't. He certainly does have a bingo, I just haven't seen it. I'll let him find it. He's got 10 minutes to find it. If he doesn't bingo, I win. So let's see if we can find a bingo with the blank as an E. That looks the more likely. Well, I'm not seeing one yet. It's difficult to see. I'd much rather be clicking through the blank, but I haven't seen a bingo, but I suspect there is more than one. My opponent could well have a bingo in mind and just be looking for the best one or savouring the moment. If my opponent doesn't bingo, the game's won, but I don't think I can go out. But I'll just be looking to score as much as possible. So 9 minutes for my opponent to find his bingo. Now I'm just wondering if he would have had one through the G. The G, not the greatest tile to go with the B. So I think if Inveigh had been available, I may have played it. Although that would have left the floating R. I think my opponent has Barriest. Yes, so. And that fits in row D. So the game is my opponent's to lose, and I'm not expecting him to lose it. I expect there are other bingos as well. Now, I don't think Barriest wins. I've just been adding the score for it. I think Barriest scores 70, taking my opponent to 386. He gets 8 on countback, 394. He loses, so Barriest is a losing play. So maybe I was premature in conceding this game. Maybe my opponent needs to find a bingo in which the B lands on one of the double letter squares. And that's a much greater challenge than simply finding a bingo through an E and an R. And opponent plays Liberate. He did find a bingo through the E, but it's not enough. Final score, 394 for my opponent, 398 for me. A winning margin of 4 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. Quite a dramatic ending to that game. I regarded it as completely lost, and it wasn't. Or was it? Maybe my opponent did have a bingo which won and didn't see it. We'll find out shortly. So, opponent's opening rack. He plays Gookie. My horror show. I played Jowly and I still like that. Opponent plays Key. More horror. And I play Foe. And I was thinking about playing Whack, but I prefer Foe. Opponent's rack plays Clued. And what do I do here? I play Weir for 28, D14. Same spot, I could have played Rude. I don't like that play. It gives too much access to column 15. And it doesn't have as good a rack leave, so I still like Weir. Opponent's rack, he plays Zitz for 57. and goes into a 50-point lead. But I'm able to come back with Dottier, which was the only bingo. Look at this, opponent was also suffering a vowel shortage. Plays crab. And now I play Finnan for 19. Quite a volatile play, but totally sorts the rack out. Opponent's rack, quite bingo-y, but doesn't have one. Plays Dunner for 24. Now I have Nempt for 31. And opponent's rack. No bingo. Wow. Plays Melds. And at this point I change. The best I could have done, E10. Ploy for 20 points, but keeping B and V together and no vowels. I prefer changing. Nice rack for my opponent. He gets the bingo down, and he now leads by about 60 points. So, I thought about home, and I went with Vox. I'm still not sure which of those is best. I don't really like Vox. I don't feel confident that it's the best play. But the play has merits and demerits, as do all plays. Look at this, fantastic sight. My opponent drowning in vowels, including 3 eyes. Superb. So he plays Pi. Wow, so he played Pi from this rack, not having an S or a blank. My rack. And at this point I do play home for 30, and I like that. Opponent still with 3 eyes. Plays his way through them with High Lie, which isn't a bad play. He is taking out a floater and he is sorting out his eyes. And this is where I only saw Guerreros, but Shagroon B2 was available and would have been a better play. It doesn't provide access to the triple word squares in row A, and it provides 1 fewer floater. Horrible rack for my opponent. So this is the point with 3 tiles in the bag where he plays AI and then leaves himself with quite a nice rack lead, assuming he dodges drawing 2 vowels. Oh wow, he has a bingo with this rack. Heter AI D1. Wow, very difficult to see. Plays AI instead. And now I play Vigia, and there was no higher scoring play. So, moment of truth. Did my opponent have a winning bingo? No, he doesn't, because he got 70 points for Liberate, and no higher scoring bingos were available. There were a ton of bingos, but none of them scored enough. So, hugely dramatic end to the game. I didn't think I had a big enough lead, but I did, and I hung on. And I think Vigia was responsible for that. It scored just enough points to outrun a bingo. So, fantastic stuff. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.